For years, one of the Chicago Police Department's most violent districts has been Ogden. Last August, Superintendent Eddie Johnson promoted James Sanchez to be its commander. But something extraordinary about Sanchez remained outside public view. He'd been a subject of at least 90 misconduct complaints, more than almost any other officer. It raises questions about the promotion, questions Johnson has not been willing to talk about. WBEZ's Chip Mitchell reports from our West Side studio.
Most of the complaints against Commander Sanchez alleged excessive force or an improper search. A few others accused him of an illegal arrest. One of those came after a 2002 murder here in the Little Village neighborhood. Sanchez was a detective. He led the investigation, and he focused on a 23-year-old named Jose Lopez.
He had a criminal history. He was a known member of a gang. He'd been in a gang for a long time.
Elizabeth Mazer was an attorney for Lopez.
Probably as the police see it, these guys are all just a bunch of gangbangers causing trouble out on the street, and if Jose didn't do this one thing, maybe he did something else that the police think he ought to be in jail for. So if they can implicate Jose Lopez, that's good enough.
But it wasn't.
The story that the police built didn't hold up.
One of the case's witnesses fit the physical description of the shooter and actually led Sanchez to the murder weapon, but somehow was not considered a suspect. Lopez's attorneys alleged that Sanchez's crew coerced other witnesses.
And Jose was acquitted.
But by then, he'd already spent 3 years in the Cook County Jail. Lopez brought a lawsuit. It accused Sanchez and other detectives of framing him. The suit went to trial in 2011.
The jury was 10-2 in our favor, and we were confident about our chances going into a retrial. And the city decided to settle.
To settle with Lopez for $750,000, $750,000. As that lawsuit was playing out, a police investigation of the arrest did not find Sanchez at fault. In fact, of Sanchez's 90 misconduct complaints, only 3 led to findings against him, and none to punishment more severe than a 3-day suspension. But the sheer number of Sanchez's complaints still stands out. He has almost twice as many as any other district commander, and he's got about 5 times their average. A WBEZ review of Sanchez's complaints found something else. In 16 of them, he was accused along with an officer named Jerome Finnegan.
New at 5 tonight, reaction to
This Jerome Finnegan.
He was convicted of leading a crew of rogue cops who shook down drug dealers and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sanchez got his complaints with Finnegan just a few years before the incidents that sent Finnegan to federal prison. We asked to speak with Superintendent Johnson about whether he'd looked into Sanchez's record before promoting him to commander and how that record fit with Johnson's goal of building trust with the community. A police spokesman said the superintendent was too busy to talk with us about it. The spokesman sent a statement that says Johnson considered Sanchez's full background. About the city's $750,000 settlement with that gang member acquitted in Sanchez's murder case, CPD says city settlements are not admissions of police guilt. The statement also says complaints against officers are fully investigated and officers are held accountable. But that's not what the U.S. Justice Department found during a year-long investigation of the Chicago police. The feds concluded that, quote, CPD's accountability systems are broadly ineffective at deterring or detecting misconduct. Commander Sanchez declined to comment to WBEZ. The police spokesman referred other questions to Alderman Michael Scott, Jr. His ward covers part of the police district Sanchez runs.
He's on the street with his guys. The morale, I think, is up a little bit. They're recovering weapons at an amazing clip. He's out at incidents that happen in the ward. He is instituting strategies to kind of help reduce the gun violence.
Alderman Scott says Sanchez might have so many complaints because he was arresting lots of bad guys and racking up complaints in the process. Civil rights attorney Craig Futterman doesn't buy that. He has spent more than a decade suing to make Chicago police misconduct complaints public.
It's a rare occasion when someone who was searched or arrested actually goes out and files a complaint. And the vast majority of those officers haven't accumulated extraordinary numbers of complaints.
Extraordinary like dozens, or 90, like Sanchez has.
Those should be red flags.
Futterman says if Superintendent Johnson doesn't see them as red flags, he isn't doing his job. Chip Mitchell, WBEZ.
This is why people are angry. Cop with 90 misconduct complaints promoted to Commander, Chicago, Illinois. For many professions, one solitary charge of misconduct is enough to get someone fired. While some people might get forgiveness and a pass on one charge, multiple charges will, more often than not, lead to termination of one's employment. But with police officers, as the Free Thought Project has consistently reported over the years, they seem to wear reports of misconduct as a badge of honor and are often promoted. CMDR. James Sanchez has been a subject of at least 90 formal complaints since joining the force in 1985, according to the records obtained through the Illinois Freedom of Information Act. Most of those complaints alleged excessive force or improper searches, writes WJCT. Sanchez, a Chicago police officer, was recently promoted to commander, even after amassing nearly 100 cries from the public of misconduct, leaving many to speculate just how many more citizens refused to come forward, fearing retaliation for filing a report against Sanchez. Based on the findings in the FOIA request, Sanchez, who was promoted to commander last August, has nearly twice as many complaints as any of the department's other 21 district commanders, and about 5 times their average. Going further into the claims of misconduct reveals a few disturbing accusations, not the least of which was Sanchez's involvement in the framing of a local gang leader for murder. While working as a detective, Sanchez was accused of coercing witnesses and fabricating evidence to frame Jose Lopez. Lopez, after spending 3 years in jail, was acquitted of the crime, and later sued the department and the city, winning a $750,000 settlement in court. Read more. The reason this black cop is grabbing a white man wearing a swastika will make your day. They targeted Latinos in particular, breaking into their homes, falsely arresting them, kidnapping people, so they could rob them, said Futterman, the attorney. There were lots of complaints, but nobody was connecting the dots. Nobody was looking at them. That was going on for years, said Chicago law professor Craig Futterman. Of the nearly 100 complaints against Sanchez, only 3 resulted in punishment for the officer. And just as TFTP has reported is customary with police departments all across the country, he only received a 3-day suspension for his alleged misdeeds and criminal conduct. Image: http://pixel.watch/QUT7. As TFTP has documented, victims of crime seldom come forward to file a police report. It can be assumed fewer still will present themselves at a police precinct to file misconduct charges against a police officer. As Futterman puts it, you work in places with higher crime, you have more contact with people, no one likes to be searched, no one likes to be arrested, you get complaints. But it's a rare occasion when someone who is searched or arrested actually goes out and files a complaint. And the vast majority of those officers haven't accumulated extraordinary numbers of complaints. Futterman has been fighting for years in court to have the criminal complaints against Chicago police officers be released. Even though there exists the Freedom of Information Act, a federal law which calls for complete disclosure, he's found the CPD to be less than forthcoming, often stalling and delaying his efforts to have the light of truth shine on police officers' records. Image: http://thefreethought.com/wp-content/upload/20177/01300x250 text.jpg. Unfortunately, the CPD may not have done due diligence investigating Sanchez's work history before promoting him to commander. But after all, they're the police. They can, will, and do anything they want, even promoting a man who probably should have been arrested on corruption charges years ago.